So Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn are running it back at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium once again, and overall I think this result is going to be the exact same as the first fight. I don't think that either guys really has changed their boxing sort of game plan too much in terms of skill. They haven't changed too much. I think largely, for the most part, each guy is coming into this fight the same way they went into the first fight. I think ultimately there are glaring holes in Conor Benn's boxing IQ, in my opinion. That fight against Chris Eubank Jr. really exposed them. To be honest, throughout his career, he's really been able to get away with it just due to his aggression, his ferocity, his physicality at 147. He has not got that at 160. And he's not got that against Chris Eubank Jr., who, as much as, people like to pretend, like he shouldn't be fighting at 160, he has fought at 168 and was IBO super middleweight world champion at 168. So he's a lot bigger than Conor Benn. And Conor Benn showed that if he doesn't have that physicality and aggression advantage, he can't outbox you, right? There was a sequence where, Conor Benn basically threw like a naked rear uppercut, like with no setup, no jab. It's really amateur, in my opinion. And to be honest, Chris Eubank Jr. makes some of the same mistakes, but they're not as glaring. Chris Eubank Jr. is bigger, he's able to take the shots well, and clearly Conor Benn's not got the power to make him pay. But you know what I mean? There are glaring holes in Conor Benn's boxing IQ. And not to say there's not glaring holes in Chris Eubank Jr.'s game, because there is. And there's a reason why Chris Eubank Jr.'s not been able to kick on and become one of the best at middleweight, the best at super middleweight, like his father so boldly proclaimed early on in his career. But yeah, ultimately, I've not got a ton of interest in this rematch, if I'm being honest. The only way I would be if, Conor Benn was able to really change up, really improve, really add some more strings to his bow in terms of his boxing. And it doesn't look like he's able to. And at this point in his career, he's no kid. Yes, he's the younger man, but he's no kid. And, Conor Benn's not going to be able to change who he is as a boxer at this point in his career. He is a hothead. He is a pressure fighter. He's, aggressive. He tries to be like a mini Pitbull, mini Mike Tyson. Do you know what I mean? That style, that peekaboo style. Very explosive, in and out. It works at 147. It's not going to work at 160, unfortunately. He's clearly not powerful enough to make that work at 160. And not only is he not powerful enough, again, he's not got the boxing IQ to set up his big shots. His boxing IQ is not good enough for him to set up his big shots. So yeah, I would be super curious to know what you guys think of this fight. A lot of people are saying that Conor Benn can win this fight. And initially, when this rematch got announced, I did think Conor Benn could, but simply because I think Conor Benn had the most to learn from that, and because Conor Benn is a younger man, he actually could improve some things, whereas Chris Eubank Jr. is not going to be improving at all at this point in his career. It's only going to be downhill from there, and the first fight was competitive at times. Now the scorecards didn't represent that, and in my opinion, the fight should have scored a lot closer than it was. There's arguments to be made that maybe Conor Benn sort of edged that, in my opinion, when I watched it the first time round, but obviously the 10th, 11th, 12th round were really good performances from Chris Eubank Jr. and he just dug in more and, was able to stay active and keep throwing those punches, because Chris Eubank Jr., that's the style of fighter he is. He tried to become a bit of a counter-puncher under Roy Jones. That really wasn't working, because even at that point in his career, Chris Eubank Jr. wasn't as sharp as what he once was. Again, Chris Eubank Jr. is not a guy who's got great footwork. He's quite plodding. He's got good upper body movement. He had that early on in his career. Now, he's not got as much of that. Now he's just older, slower, footwork's more plodding, his upper head movement doesn't move as much. He's more of a stationary target, a lot more than what he was early on in his career. And obviously that plays into Conor Benn's hands, of course it does, because if you're a stationary target, Conor Benn's going to seek and destroy, and that's what he does, that's his style. So there are paths to victory for Conor Benn, but I just don't think he's able to. He's been able to make the appropriate adjustments in this camp, and to be honest, it looks like it's going to be more of the same. That being said, going throughout boxing history, rematches are very rarely the same as the first matches. In almost every example, the rematches are different. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Super curious to know what you guys think. Another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest in the bag, and I'm out. Peace.